Welcome to Electric Evolution with Liz Allan. This podcast is about the journey to a more sustainable future in order for us to be able to do our bit to achieve net zero. I'll be discussing a variety of topics with experts in their field in order to educate and increase our knowledge of clean energy, electric vehicles and the electric vehicle infrastructure. So whether you're an individual wanting to make a difference at home, a small business or a corporate, this podcast is just for you. So on today's episode of the podcast, I have got Tomi Ristimäki, who's the Chief Executive and President of Chempower, based in Finland. So Tomi, thank you ever so much for joining me. It's really, really lovely to meet you.
Thank you for the invitation, Liz. I'm happy to be here.
So, okay, so Kenpower design and manufacture DC fast chargers, and I know that previously you worked at Danfoss, and I know of Danfoss because I used to work in the kind of the air conditioning and BMS building management system arena. So and you worked at Honeywell as well, didn't you? So
exactly on the building management side. So yeah.
That's good. So can you give me a little bit of background? How did you get in? How did you move from where you are now to, from where you were to where you are now?
Yeah, well, I worked with electrification for basically the whole career since '99. So it's now, oh my God, it's 24 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
It's a lot of time, but I worked for the beginning part was with industry, and it was about energy saving. It was clean tech in any way, even the building management. I was always on the side on how to save energy, how to make more efficient system, which is actually part of the clean tech world. But then around 2010-11, so the last 12 years has gone with e-mobility. It was quite a different world, I would say, in 2011, trying to convince the people to turn into electrical movement. And at that time, I was working for a small company we actually founded for making electric motors and inverters for the vehicles. So working with the electric vehicles, hybrid systems, things around that. And we got acquired by Danfoss, and we were in the vehicle side of Danfoss, actually in charge of this electrification of very interesting machinery like full-scale excavators, wheel loaders going to electric, buses, trucks. And then that was still a lot to deal with the diesel engines and how to make them basically using less oil and less pollution. But then the chance to actually move to really clean thing, so charging is pure electric. So that chance I got in 2019. Right. And the Kempower thing has been going forward on working with pure electric movement, and became an electric vehicle enthusiast myself as well. Have been driving electric vehicles since, and converted the family as well. I think we are getting a third EV at home when my daughter turns 18. So
nice.
There's not a single combustion engine at home. There's even the lawnmower works with electric motors.
Oh, wow. That's always good.
Yeah, that's always good. Yeah.
Goodness me. So, right. Okay. So moving into Kenpower then, did that just feel like a natural move for you? Is it a very different company to Danfoss, and Honeywell? Or is it?
The scale of things on Honeywell, having 135,000 colleagues, it's a bit different world than 10 people when I started here in Chempower. But also the Chempower's history is a long industrial history. The company was founded in 2018 with this 100% focus on fast charging. But the origins come from an older group that has been working with power electronics since 1949, or power engineering. And that was mostly welding machines, but other things as well. But it had a lot of synergies, and that was also important to me, that I saw a lot of e-mobility startups that you could already tell that there is no future, there is not good plan, or there is a lot of uncertainty. When I heard about Chempower, I had the same thing in my mind. Okay, it's another one of those. Then I saw the plan, and actually the company groups match in synergy in technology, that there was really a good solid plan that I said to myself, I want to be part of that. That there is a good idea, and actually electric vehicles were finally becoming more popular.
Yes.
Working in the last 12, 13 years with e-mobility, we thought it will happen always next year. and it didn't in a big scale. And I think the 2019-20 to 2020, they were kind of like a turning point years that the movement started finally rolling out, and it started fast.
Do you think it was anything to do with the pandemic and lockdown, and kind of did it give people time to actually think and move forwards, or was it just
I think that
anyway?
also, and I think was so visible because that part of the industry didn't slow down, and that's where you saw the big difference. But I think the movement started a bit before.
Oh.
Like 2019, you had already the things happening before the COVID. But then you saw the difference compared to any other industry, that this electrification didn't slow at all. It was accelerating throughout. And our company was developing these difficult years. So I would say hybrid working and working with making contracts through this kind of a online presence in B2B environment is a natural state for our company. And it also helped also technological side. It pushed us making more these remote control, remote support software things already from the start. So in a way, it actually pushed us doing more and develop the right direction.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah, it was difficulties in there, and I have a hard time actually working from home. But so I was staying in office with a few people, and we kept that limited, and didn't stop at all. And it was a hard time when you cannot visit the factory at all, because I'm used to doing hands-on things and seeing how things are happening. And we were actually banning all the office people not to go to the factory, because that was kind of a risk. If you have one person getting sick in the factory, you have to close down the whole factory. Like, it was very strict in the beginning, so we were coping with that quite well. And then it was just painful for me not to be able to be there. So it's,
of course,
yeah.
But like you say, you've got to limit that level of risk, haven't you? You can't kind of do that. And if you could, so how many people have you got in the factory then?
Today it's I think in total almost 200, but in that time it was not many. I think we have been growing so fast that I joined to lead a company with 10 people, and now we are well over 500.
Wow!
In a few years, so it's growing like. In a half a year, it's doubling the headcount of people, getting a lot of new colleagues.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's brilliant. So how big is the business? So it's DC fast chargers. Let's start with this first. Why DC fast chargers first and foremost then?
I think it is also that you have to concentrate on what you know. That's my world. For myself, it's power electronics and how to do real equipment, power converters, inverters, and that's what DC fast charging is all about. That also matched the know-how to the group where the Kempower was originally born to. And it was created there as a separate company and like a freedom. And when you are, let's say, born into a company founded in 1949, it's very important to keep it kind of separate from the traditional part. So, but it gave security in the beginning and get a good grounding as well, that you are born into an existing industrial global group and working on global level. So it has the support structure you need. Today we don't need that anymore that much, but it was really important for the first days that you have kind of. It gave security people who joining also that you have a background and you are not, let's say, purely a new startup in the world.
Do you know, because I had heard of Chempower previously, because I've kind of worked in sort of engineering and manufacturing companies on and off throughout my life, and with the service side of things as well. And I was kind of like, I'm sure I've heard of Chempower. So now that you've just said about the fact that you were established in 1949, then
it was name is Kempi, and that's welding. The first part of the company name comes from the owner family, Kempi. So it's Kempower is the first part of the name comes from that.
Okay.
And I think if they have racing horses or they have companies, it starts with the same letters. So this is kind of a traditional family business. Of course, we are publicly listed company, but they are still the main owner.
Right. Okay. So did you start off just selling into Finland then, selling the DC chargers into Finland?
It's my view of the world. It's you have to go where the customers are. Our first delivery was actually done to UK.
Was it? Okay.
Many people garbage trucks. They were the very first customer buying our movable charger for their prototype of electric garbage truck. Second unit was sold to Australia, so we started a little bit wider scope. But from the beginning, I think we never considered Finland really the home market as an only. We look at the Nordic countries as whole, because also the development with electric vehicles, it was so strong in Norway. So you think about Norway, Sweden, Finland, that's our home. Finland is too small to start with. I had my doubts also. Finland was a bit behind on the electric vehicle market in 2019, and it has been now growing fast. So I'm positively surprised.
Yeah.
What has happened also in the home country, but I think Norway and Sweden are a little bit ahead of us on the progress. So it's important to actually start with the market that has already the market is already rolling out and going forward.
So where would you say which of the countries then are the most advanced at the moment, sort of in Europe, for example? Where would you see, you know, how does the UK and Finland kind of match against France, Germany, Norway, Sweden? Where would you say everybody is?
I think from the electric transportation world, Norway, of course, is ahead of everybody in it. If you have a country where 85% of the new vehicles are electric, so there's nothing in comparison, but there is very fast growing markets today, and the UK as one of them. UK and Sweden are probably the fastest growing. And I think along with if we look at which are advanced country, after Norway normally comes Netherlands in the European sense, that who got, let's say, early start for the mobility movement. Norway, Netherlands, but now I see UK and France are actually head-to-head competing who will be the fastest growing big market in Europe. Germany is moving as well, but we see from I always say the big five in Europe. So you have UK, Germany, France, Spain, and Italy. Spain and Italy are a bit behind, but the big countries are moving forward. So
yeah. Okay. So right, if Norway's like top of the league, then we're not talking football.
It's a window to the future.
Yeah.
I call it. Yeah.
So what are Norway doing that everybody else needs to do?
I think was the government involvement from the beginning, actually have the correct kind of support.
Yeah,
I think they did a really drastic ones, like removing all the taxes from electric vehicles, because it's a country with really high car tax.
Yes.
So it made electric vehicles more, let's say, more affordable than the gasoline engine ones. So that's an obvious choice.
Yeah.
Not every country has the same privilege, of course, working like that, but I think it was really important. Netherlands did the same, that they supported the rollout of the vehicles, and then the rest of the things happened behind that. So there was not so heavy subsidies on charging infrastructure or anything, but actually the fast rollout of electric vehicles was
because I know that the UK had a little bit of a subsidy for a short length of time, but actually there wasn't really much I personally didn't see lots of promotion on that subsidy. So, and because it was such a short length of time, I think by the time everybody realized, oh, maybe we should have done that, it had gone, you know.
Yeah,
so it makes it very difficult.
Same in here, but I think it's kind of a movement that already moves on its own. What I'm more concerned that if the governments would do something, that would be this more sparsely populated areas, that you have to support the charging infra on the areas where there's not so many people living. But if you want to create a system that people move for everywhere with electric vehicles, it's not possible for anybody to invest the charging infra into areas where you have little traffic. But it's vital to make it possible for everybody and movement in every place. So I would remove all the subsidies from big population centers and target them into areas where you don't have that many people, because that makes it possible. And that we see now happening in US as well, because we are now building the factory in US and very focused on seeing what happens. And they are doing it exactly like that, all the subsidies are directed into this between cities and making it possible and moving the let's say the scare of people that they are scared of electric vehicles.
Yes.
Can you go there? Can you go there? How do you charge? And the uncertainty is very visible also at home when I'm talking to my wife. She hasn't been driving EV that long yet. And she's a lot more concerned about what's left in the battery than I am when I'm driving already now, I think 5 years with the EV. So then it's more normal. Let's say this range anxiety is the first thing that comes to mind.
Yes.
But in a developed market like Norway, they are not so much concerned about the range anymore. They are concerned about queues, charging queues.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're actually talking even about queue anxiety, that people are not afraid that you have enough range with the car. You are afraid that when you arrive, is there a place to charge? That if there's 20 cars in line, that means you have to wait your turn and sit in the car, and because if you step out of the car, you lose your place in the queue, and that's not really. And that's I think it's part of the success of ours, that we generate system that has more connection points, and actually focusing on areas that you can build these charging hubs that are serving more vehicles, that to remove exactly this future problem that you might have, that you have many cars in queue, so they want to actually charge the cars, but you have to wait your turn. So this is actually a big part of that you have enough connection points.
Yeah, there is that, because like you say, the more people who are influenced and wanting to buy an electric car, the more points you actually need, don't you? I mean, in the UK, they're kind of saying that there are kind of there's about 40% of the UK that don't actually have an ability to charge at home, as in they don't have a drive or somewhere like that. But then there is the whole en route charging, isn't there? So you do need to make sure that if I'm going from Reading up to Yorkshire, which is where I'm originally from, you know, that I'll need to charge, and I want to make sure that I'm going to be able to charge and not have to wait hours. But I mean, the other thing is, I don't know whether you've seen this, but at Christmas in the UK, and we're talking a few months ago now, but there were some Tesla drivers that had to queue because, you know, to wait at a charge point. But what was actually happening was they were waiting to charge up to 100%. And I know that when you get to, because on a rapid charge or a fast, I always get confused between the two, but
I think it depends on the country or what you call what. Rapid charge, I think, is a common UK term, and it's been spreading, but fast charge or rapid charge, I think, means basically the same thing.
Same thing, right? That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but people were they were charging to 80%, and rather than leaving it at 80%, and you know, it was actually, you know, they were wanting to get to 100, and that's when it starts trickle charging, doesn't it? Because if you're on a fast or a rapid charger, you don't want to, you know, you need.
Well, you are occupying the space and actually blocking everybody because it doesn't really use any more power. In our system, you transfer the power to others. So even if you connect until 100%, or even leave your car that it's already fully charged and you're still eating your lunch, it actually moves at least the power for use for other people. So
does it? Okay.
Yeah. This is the idea that you are not that you can use the system more. That's basically our strength. That we have this what we call dynamic balancing of the charging output. That we move it from car to car. So if the car which is connected is not using the capacity anymore, the others get it. So that's the way how to get the vehicles moving out, and there is many ways. And it's also very important when you're building the charging infrastructure that this destination charging or this kind of supermarket charging becomes like a vital part of it. That while you are doing something else, your car gets charged.
Yeah.
And not like in gasoline stations that you have to go for a charge. That's what I thought as well in early when I started driving electric vehicle, that I have to go somewhere to charge. Now I'm not anymore doing it. I charge at home, not so often. I charge at work, and then when I'm shopping or going for a restaurant, I choose the locations which actually have charging.
Yeah.
And then you don't need to actually go for a charge.
No, because that makes total sense, because if you're going to be out anyway, then actually, and you know that you just need to top up a bit or whatever, then just kind of do it there. And and I know that lots of people have kind of said it's about behavior change, but I think in order to get to that behavior change, it's about education and learning and kind of understanding and spreading positive word. Because I don't know what it's like in Finland, but we've got a lot of negativity based around electric vehicles and electric vehicle charging, that just needs to change, because the kind of the word on the street. And I've even had friends down from Yorkshire this weekend, and they've been quoting stuff which isn't true. So I've had to kind of talk to them about, well, actually, because these people, you just have to queue and it takes hours to charge and all this lot, and it's and that's just one, two people listening to stuff that's not right.
And it's the dilemma for the new EV driver, that you are supposed to know all the materials of your battery, where does it come from and what metals are you using, and it's kind of this negativity. It's a lot, but sometimes it's fun to read if you have like a normal newspaper writing a positive article on EVs, and what are the comments, because you got the loud, or let's say, people actually making all kinds of statements. It's always the same. Yeah. This is feeling, it's fun to read sometimes, but you get crazy if you read it every day. But sometimes it's like, take out your popcorn and just read, because you know what's coming. But it's kind of funny. There is, of course, it's a new thing. There in the car industry, there hasn't been this big change since the invention of combustion engine.
Yeah,
which actually is a big change. It's an energy moving the car is completely different. You have a different way of getting the energy. I think the biggest change, when I look at myself as an EV driver, what changed? I don't like to plan at, let's say, in my spare time, but now I have to. But you learn it. But you are actually thinking when you drive far. Where will you stop? Where will you have lunch? Where's the coffee break? That's the only change almost, but that's also, it was not that painful that I thought. Now that you know the network, you are kind of making the plan before. It doesn't take long, but you have to do it. I think it gets more comfortable when the charging infrastructure is more ready. And of course, we try to help with that as much as we can, but it is a beginning of new things. And of course, not everything is ready.
No,
but I think things are moving fast to a very positive direction.
Yeah.
Normally, the people making the comments, same as you have a lot of government people. It's not every government person, but most of the people making rules on subsidies or things, they have never driven an electric vehicle. It would be good to make opinions after half a year test. I think 1 week is too short. You don't get the feeling. And after half year, normally people don't come back to old ways, because it's most people stay as electric vehicle drivers for the rest of their life, because when you get used to it, it has a lot of benefits, and you get used to these small benefits, because just different. It's just different. It's not really bad or good, but it's different.
Yeah. So I need you to tell me then about your movable charger. So how does that work? How do you kind of, who's it for? How does it work? What are you, how are you spreading the word about this?
Okay, movable charger. It's not a major seller with us, but it is interesting product. And for personal cars, you use them maybe in a repair shops or use it in events, kind of where you don't have the charging infra every time, because you don't have actually any installation cost, because you have to have just power plugs. So it needs to be connected to the grid, but it's a possibility to have 40 kilowatt fast charging or rapid charging, whichever you call it, into a site. But most common, it is used in this early time of commercial vehicles. Like I gave the example of first chargers sold to garbage trucks. it's when they start, it's like a home charger for commercial vehicles.
I get you.
Because you have this AC charging for personal cars, which have still decent size of batteries. Even the most expensive cars have small batteries compared to the commercial vehicles. If you look at trucks and things, and they need rapid charging at home. Home meaning the depot where they stay, or the garage where they are. I think the biggest seller is these big vehicles which are moving. We have like city of Berlin has about 25 of them, for example, for street sweepers, vans, trucks, whatever the city has. And they don't know how the operation is next day, where they need the charging, so they can actually move the units wherever they need them. And it's more not normally for. You could sell electricity that to normal people as well, but not so convenient. It's more for vehicles used as a tool.
Okay.
So we have taxi companies using those and different things, because it's more like a, I would say, tool part of our portfolio. That it's a convenient, and we have had partners in UK, for example, renting them to a lot of events.
Okay.
For example, the Glasgow environmental meeting.
Yeah.
All the vehicles moving with electricity were charged with our movable chargers.
Oh, were they? Right. Okay.
That's kind of a perfect that you want to have an event where you have all the, let's say, vehicles clean, and this can be brought in onto the site, just connected to power plugs on the wall. But it needs to be the three-phase big red ones, but that's giving the possibility to actually organize things.
So are they moved in the back of a truck then?
No, you could do that, but it's normally they are somewhere on site, garage, depot, but you can move them around or wherever you have, especially when commercial vehicles are starting the operation. In the early times that we have cities trying out electric buses, you had, for the beginning, these movable ones, because it's fast and you don't know yet how the operation works, that you can use mobile units for the beginning. I think it's more like a home charger for really big vehicles. Right. We have mining vehicles working with that. We have some, let's say, early construction vehicles working with electricity, that they are using the movable one, because it's more convenient to actually have a unit you can move around when the operation is not that, let's say, organized.
Yeah. Okay. So if that's not your best seller, what's your best seller then?
I think it's the satellite system. We call it satellite system, that we have a centralized charger with high power, and there's a lot of outputs in DC, because in normal world, if you look at the competition, for example, they have like a chargers which can charge 1 or 2 cars. And if there is a car connected, battery is full, the power is there, and you cannot use it. So in our system, we have this adapting system that all the satellites are sharing the power.
Yeah. That sounds like a perfect way. So right, okay. So how many cars can you charge off the satellite system then?
Single charging system, 6 or 8, depending on the configuration, at the same time, and then you can have multiple systems side by side. Normally in Finland, when we are looking at, or UK as well, I think 6 rapid chargers in a single site is a lot still. In Norway, there is system that we have even 32 units or 32 cars or even 50 cars in the future charged in a single site.
Wow. Oh my God.
But it is actually the thing that when you have a high percentage of the cars moving to electric, and you want to serve the people also in holiday season, or we get the queues only on certain weeks when you have, we call this autumn holiday, what the schools have a 1 week out, that's a skiing holiday, so everybody goes to north of Finland for skiing.
Right.
And you spread it so that some cities have it in different weeks, but you have every weekend you have people leaving or coming, and then you have a change times on those, and you might have the queues. Otherwise, it's not yet in our country, at least, that you have a lot of queues. In Norway, it's a bit more when you have, like I said, more than 80% of the new cars, and I think for the total car population, they're going close to 25%. So every fourth car is electric. So then you have the massive fleets, especially in holiday times, they're moving back and forth. And then you're adding trucks and vans and the commercial vehicles on site. So it will have a lot of demands for the charging infrastructure.
Yeah. Okay. What about the power unit that you have as well? So I saw on your website you've got a power unit.
That's the central one, which is then spreading the power into this house.
Get you. Okay. So where do you see Kenpower in the next 4 or 5 years then? How do you want to scale this up across the world, as it were?
Yeah, I think we made a announcement as well when we were looking. We are a publicly listed company, so we are officially talking about our future, but we made a statement that we want to be in top 5 of the manufacturers in Europe and USA, all North America in total. That we want to stay in the game and scale up things. We've been doing nice growth. Last year we passed 100 million euro revenue border, and now the first quarter was 55 million, so it's going in the right direction.
Yeah.
At this stage, we got more than almost 400% growth on the Q1 compared to last year. So it tells something about the industry, and it's also tells something about us, that what we want to do, that we want to really accomplish, and we want to be like a world-class player in here.
Totally.
Yeah, and it was now Q1 was no, I think Q4 already last year was that we were over 50% was going out of the Nordics, and now we have the first sales also in US, so it's moving like we thought it moves. So, but it's a lot of work, of course, to keep up with the demand and growth.
Yeah.
But the electric movement is moving everywhere, so it's also hard to choose where you go. And we have been using the rule that we are interested in the places where it's more than 10% of the new cars is electric. The problem with this, that it's starting to get quite populated, this area. It's over the 10% limit. I'm looking at it, most of the European countries are moving that direction already. But looking at, we have delivered chargers to Greenland or Albania, or we have chargers, I think now in Mongolia. So it is getting all over the world. Of course, in Mongolia, we are in underground mining with the machinery, but it's still, you have chargers in there. So the electric movement is actually more or less global movement at the moment.
But I was going to ask you, how is it when you look at kind of grid connections across all of the areas that you're installing the charge points, how easy is it? Because I know that it's not always that easy in the UK to get grid connections. What's it like?
It's a shared issue with the rest of the countries. In Scandinavia, you have maybe a little bit stronger grids, because they are countries who are used to having electrical heating in the houses and using electric energy. The grids might be a tad stronger than let's say UK or Central Europe. But it's also one of the benefits of our system, that when the grid connection is limited, that we can use let's say the limited grid connection in the best way, that you share the power as many vehicles as the customer wants. So it's also to have enough connections for the cars.
Yes.
And if you are alone, then you get the full power, and you are sharing the power when you have a full site. It's for me, it's more important to serve many vehicles in the sites and get the things moving. And there's a lot of interest, especially look at some articles. I think they are mostly from people who haven't used electric vehicles, that you want to have 400 kilowatt chargers, and there is not a single vehicle which can charge with 400 kilowatt, maybe some trucks. But more to have a decent charging hours for everybody. And when you empty site, then you get more, but people can choose, because everything is basically available on your mobile phone. You can see how the sites are occupied and choose the right ones. And I think getting might be Finland democratic way of thinking, that you have to share the power, you have to share the things. And if you have to wait for 5 minutes more, 10 minutes more, that should be like for the common good. Have some patience, they will happen. And I think the grid connections and things will come. I think the world is moving by using more electric energy. So I think there will be investments done on electric grids. But of course, that's not as fast movement as you have with electric vehicles today, but that will come. because when you have more and more renewables, you need to transfer the energy back and forth. It's a combination of things. You might have sites that will have a huge battery banks on the charging sites to deal with the peak demands, and I think there is a lot of things happening in there. We have seen now, we have been in project with huge truck sites which have huge solar power plants and batteries combined with the charging sites to be able to serve and also to be able to serve the green energy for people. It's also really important in the long run.
Well, look, can I just ask as a final question, if people are wanting to contact somebody with regards to kind of like a Kempower install, how would they, what's the best route to take?
In UK, and we are a UK team.
Okay, so what, just searching up the Kenpower website?
Yeah, and it's also, we have several partners, and they can also direct that too. If somebody needs like a turnkey solution, we normally work with the partners because we stay in the manufacturer's corner, so we don't provide normally the whole installation package. We do only the, let's say, the normal working day service on our side. So it's our partners are also who are doing the, let's say, 24/7 service are in key role when people are wanting to work. It's the best solution for everybody.
Yeah.
Of course, bigger companies have their own service people, then it's more convenient to do business directly with us, but it's a combination. But yeah, we have, I think I'm really happy about our UK people. They have been generating so much business for us and seeing that the customers love them. So if you're wanting to have a charging infrastructure of the future, I think people should contact them actually.
Brilliant. And you're on, I was going to say, because you're also on LinkedIn anyway, aren't you?
Yeah. This is a very important tool for us actually for contacting customers, because we are in the B2B market, and that's a kind of where people find information nowadays.
Okay.
And this was one thing that changed actually with the COVID times. Your marketing is on social media.
Yeah.
You don't have possibility to meet people anymore that much. It's now changing back that you actually have a chance to meet people, which is nice. But things changed.
Yeah, and you have to just adapt, don't you, and innovate a little bit. Yeah.
It is, and also the short meetings are not anymore face-to-face, which in B2B market, I remember I have a 1 hour meeting in Japan, so I have to fly like 2 days, and I have a 1 hour meeting with a Japanese manufacturer and come back. That was somewhere 2015, 16, and that was still the normal way of now. If you have short things, you just handle them online. And people are getting, even in business to business market, that you can have, let's say, more conversations online, and that's also sustainable. And
exactly.
You don't need to, for a person like me in the past, when I worked with sales and marketing roles in a global level, you were like living in the airports.
I can imagine, but you want to decarbonize your company, don't you? So you don't want to do all that flying.
We try to limit that, but of course, in our world with the customers, you need to meet face to face when you're doing big projects. It's still the trust with people. You need to, let's say, shake hands and look into the eye. It is the way of doing the B2B market, at least.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's been really interesting talking to you, Tomi. I really appreciate your time. Thank you ever so much. And like I say, so contact Kenpower online. Look for the UK website and look for the people who they're working with over here. But yeah, thank you very much for speaking to me. It's been really, really great.
Yeah, it was nice. It was definitely a positive talk.
Good. That's why I try and make sure that these do.
Let's make the positivity go. We have the plus sign on our logo, so that's about positivity.
Exactly. Yeah, fabulous. Yeah. Keep it plus. Right, so thank you to Tomi, and for everybody else watching, I'm going to say goodbye, and I shall see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
You've been watching Electric Evolution with Liz Allan. Don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell icon, and you'll receive all of our weekly videos. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.